Good morning. Um, this this is the second video that I'm doing this morning. I'll I'll be publishing it a little later. The first video I did this morning had to do with your healing, your world healing field, that you are healing yourself within the world, which affects the world. So all healing that you do affects your world. And your world is the only world that you know. Because pretty much, from my perception, it's all one world. So even though our worlds seem different, because of the way we perceive them from unresolved stuff from the past, if the past exists. But we could say the past, but the past is right here. It's not like we get away from it. Like, notice how many times you just think about something that's unresolved for you. And more than likely, once it's resolved, and what does it mean to be resolved? It means the energy is let off of it. Once the energy is released from it and integrated, it's no longer a traumatic event. It's now an event. Because what makes an event traumatic is all the energies that are unresolved from that unexpected thing that happened to you. But once all those energies are resolved from that unexpected thing that happened to you, now it's just an experience. It's just something that you experienced once the energy is released and integrated. So this video is going to be about, is going to be related to the Mayan calendar, because I'm really finding myself more and more entering the world, the Maya world. I have returned at one point, I'm just going to mention this and not go into a lot of detail, but I have returned to one Mayan lifetime that was fairly traumatic for me. It was a fishing village. There were a few thousand of us that lived in this village, right on the water. Some Spanish or Portuguese conquistadors came in, and there were, I'm guessing 5,000 or 6,000 of us, but it might have been 3,000. I didn't count, but there was over 3,000 of us in this village, and we were either poisoned or given a disease, whatever. It was very traumatic. Almost every single person in the community died traumatically. So if this brings up feelings for you, you may have been one of those, and so release those energies. That the field is much clearer now, and I wasn't meaning to do this as well, everything we do has the potential of being a healing event. So if you are on some level feeling that trauma, just release the energy of it, because it's useful to release the energy of all trauma, release the stored emotions, the things that we just couldn't deal with at the time. They're primarily going to be fear, grief, and anger. And so anytime you feel fear, grief, and anger, unless it's something you want to blame somebody for, that just, did something like, left the refrigerator door open or put a pan back in the wrong place, and you're really just upset. Unless you really want to blame it on this exterior world, just accept it that the majority of your stuff that comes up is just your stuff from unresolved events. So I've been really diving fairly deeply into the world of the Maya. The world of the Maya is for me, a very special world. And so there are two things to know about the Mayan calendar. The numbers 13 and 20 are very significant. 13 is the number of the lunar tones. So the 13 tones of the moon and each month is based on one of the moon tones. So the first month is the magnetic moon. So we just completed that. That started on July 26th, and it goes for 28 days. So it's not based on Pope Gregory's calendar. It's totally the Mayan calendar. And so the first moon was the magnetic moon. And in the first moon of the month, just trying to figure out how much data that you can take in. I'm just going to give you the data, and you just don't have to take in any of it. But in the first 28 days of the first month, which began on July 26th, there are, according to Pakal, the records of Pakal Votan, who was a Mayan prophet, and he was the sage king, and he was also the manager of time, the time engineer. I bet he was a cranky old guy. No, I bet he was a cool person. I mean, kind of like he was the Mayans' Dalai Lama kind of person, or the Mayans' Buddha, or the Mayans' Christ, or the Mayans' whatever. He was the leader, the sage king of the Maya people. And I think this was, well, the name may come to me, but it's Yucatan. I think it was part of the Yucatan Peninsula, which is kind of a part of Mexico, southern part of Mexico, I believe. I've been there, but it's near Cancun. I've been there one time, and it was a pretty nice area to live or die. Maybe there's no nice area to die. So Pakal Votan lived from 603 to 683, so he lived 80 years AD, and in his life, as the sage king, as the prophet, as the time engineer, his 80 years leading his Maya people, he noticed 13 days that every year were significant. So in the first month, in the first 28 days, the 28 days of the magnetic moon of purpose were 4 of those auspicious days, 4 of the 13 auspicious days of Pakal Votan. And there were also 1, 2, 3, 4 days of activation portals. 4 days of activation portals. Activation portals are really interesting because they're days where energies come in. So today is a day of the, in 20 kin. I'll get to all of this. I think it's all useful. But in the day of there are 20 kin, And this is a day, today is the day of the yellow crystal seed, and it's also a galactic activation portal day. Now, more than likely, I'm just going to be doing healing fields when I'm told, like set up a healing field, then I'll do it most of the time. And today I was told to set up a healing field. I did. The video come out, in an hour or so. But I'm just now noticing that it's a galactic activation portal day. Now, this is month 2. You might notice what it says. The lunar month of challenge. Polarize, stabilize, and challenge. So this is about being willing to be in the challenge of change and be aware and feel how things are polarized and be the one to stabilize those polarized energies so they can be held and we can bring love through our system. And if you're watching this, you might be feeling this. When we bring love through our system, we become coherent in mind, heart, body, and action. So this is a month that you may have found challenging. I found it challenging. And through that challenge, I've come to a place of realizing what's been told to me over and over again by the higher realms, the lower realms, all the realms, like love is the answer. So what's the question? Love's the answer. So I'm starting to think or feel, or I'm starting to notice that when I'm bringing love through my body, everything goes better. That's just the way it is. I feel better. Everybody around me seems better. So, 4 of the 13 days of Pakal Votan, prophet, sage king, time engineer, Pakal Votan, 4 of the 13 days occurred in the first month. Three more of the 13 days occurred last week. So last week seemed a little challenging because it is the month of challenge. If last month seemed a bit of a challenge too, well, there you go. But if last week seemed like a bit of a challenge, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday were auspicious days of Pakal Votan. These occur every 260 days. So there's 13 of these days every 260 days. This started, the first one was, and is always, the first one is always kin 20. So there are 20 kin. So you go through the 20 kin and you start again. The beginning kin is red dragon. I'm a red dragon here at the beginning. And then it goes to yellow sun. My wife is the yellow sun. That completes the 20 kin. And then it starts again on a red dragon and goes to a yellow sun. It starts on a red dragon and goes to a yellow sun. So it goes from 20 to 40 is another yellow sun, and then 41 is a red dragon, and then it goes to 60, which is another yellow sun, and 61, which is another red dragon. And it does this through 13 cycles, so 260 days. And then that completes the 260-day cycle of moons and solar kins. and it starts again. Now, I'm starting to really tune in. I'm starting to feel like, and this isn't an ego thing for me, this is just like an awareness that we can tune in to the memory of Pakal Votan, and we can tune into the being because nobody dies. I mean, you may think that you die, but you don't die. You're probably more conscious when you're not in these bodies than you are when you are in these bodies, unless you've had a major trauma and your soul just goes off somewhere. It's like licks its soul wounds and says, okay, I don't know, I'm not going to go back there for a while. And we all understand that. I'm not going back for a while. I'm just staying up here licking my wounds. And then eventually, if you didn't resolve it when you had a body, then my understanding is you have to resolve it when you have a body. So you got to come back here. And this is a major time of resolution. So this 260-day period from the magnetic month, so the first month actually started on the 26th of July, but there were no days of Pakal Votan in the first 20 days. So the first auspicious day of Pakal Votan was Kin 20, that was July 27th. So that was the first day, and then there were 4 of them that month. 2 of them being yellow suns. And then the next month, there was a red overtone earth, a white rhythmic mirror, and another yellow sun. And that takes us to 7 auspicious days of Pakal Votan, 7 in the first 2 months. And then the last 6 are spread out over the course of there's about 60 days, or 28 days, so a couple months, about 60 days. So in the 200 more days, there's already been 7 of these auspicious days. So there's only 6 more in the 200-day period of time after that. There's no more this month. But there are 3 more galactic activation portals. So I'm starting to get a sense that is when we'll be doing these healing fields, when the galactic activation portals are open. And I don't see that there is another auspicious day of Pakal Votan in month 3. So the next day, there must be one in 3 because it says, yeah. Oh, yeah, there is. So in the 3rd month, which is mainly September and October, it's 28 days, but part of September, part of October. There is one on Wednesday, October 2nd. There's the 8th. So there's one in September, October, the one in the 3rd month, and there's one, I think it's just one, yeah, there's one in the 4th lunar month. I feel like it took me 40 years. I wasn't working continually with this, but it took me 40 years to begin to understand how to make my hands even. No, to help me to understand the whole Mayan cosmology. Because this whole 26-year cycle around the central sun, that was Mayan. That was a Mayan construct. Somehow they understood. But we think that we're really brilliant because we sent a person to the moon, supposedly could have happened, I wasn't there. But we understand, supposedly, this whole, universe. But the Mayans supposedly knew exactly how long it took us to get a complete cycle around the central sun, following our sun through its orbit all the way around. They knew it took, and I say 26,000 years, approximately. It was 25,625, something like that, because it's all based on cosmic time. So, in 1997, I was one of 4 beings of light, pillars of light. That's what they referred to us. I didn't know who the other 3 were, but they told me that there were 4 pillars of light who were assisting the incarnation of the being that was going to be the soul of the earth for the next 13,000 years cycle. That being's name is Abrahamanad. I actually got to have a telepathic communication with him when he was coming in on March 23rd of 1997, and I leaned over. True story. That's kind of an oxymoron in a way, but I'm an oxymoron, so there you go. So I leaned over and I said, "My name's Steve McLean." Now this is 27 years ago. I said, "My name's Steve McLean. I live in Ann Arbor." So I'm guessing I was 46 when this took place. I'd be about right. I said, "My name's Steve McLean. I live in Ann Arbor." And I felt the being come to a stop. And I felt the being turn around and face me. And the being said these words, significant words really, because I may be prophet, I may be a prophet, I might be Paco Votan in another lifetime, or I could just be dumbass in another lifetime. Dumas, I'll call it myself, Dumas. But Abrahamanad turned to me and he said, "I'm perfectly aware of who you are." And I'm like, cha-ching, he knows me, little Steve from Ann Arbor, Wow, he's a rock star. I'm just a rock sitting on a rock. I'm a rock head. He's a rock star, I'm a rock head. Rockettes. There you go, the rock heads. And he said, "I'm perfectly aware of who you are. And I'm grateful for what you've helped me to do." And he said, "If there's anything you need, you just ask. But before you ask, think about what you're asking for, because I'm going to be very busy for the next 28 years. Because I've been brought in to help raise the vibration of the earth so the earth can go from a 3rd dimensional planet to a 5th dimensional planet. So these energies are going to keep going up, and it's going to cause a cleansing of the earth, of the planet, of the people on it. They're all going to go through a cleansing. Probably plants and trees and all that as well. But I think that plants and trees don't actually need a cleansing. I think they are the cleansers. But that process, what we've been going through, and so we can keep breathing. We can connect our deep self and go into that place of peace. We can ground ourselves to the healing center of the earth. We can connect with our higher self. We can open ourselves to the healing power of the One. But I think it's good to get to know these significant days. You might want to put them on your calendar so to enable you to do that, because it took me a while to figure this all out. So the days of this month are already complete. They were last week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. We have a galactic activation portal, which is today, the September 9th, and lunar day 18. There's 28 days, so we're 18s. We have 10 to go. We have another activation portal on Saturday, September 14th, and another activation portal on September 17th, plus it's a partial lunar eclipse and it's a full moon on the 17th. Then we move into month 3, the electric moon of service. And this is to activate, to bond, and serve. And there's a quote here for month 3, and it's coming up on September 20th. It's going to be month 3, right around the time of the solstice, or equinox. Caught it. There's a quote from Rabindranath Tagore. And it's a quote, so he said it. He said, "I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy." So my house partner's coming back, so I'm going to make this a 2-part series because I'm going to later on, because she's going to be coming in with groceries and putting them away. So I'm going to finish this. So this will be part 1, and then we'll do part 2. And if this is interesting, then you'll come back and watch part 2. And this was already 26 minutes of me jabbering away. So now let's go.